SQUADRON has now changed the formula for both of their gray and their white fast dry modeling putties, and both products are now 100% garbage, as I'm now about to explain.
Hi there, I've been using SQUADRON's putty, the white drying putty, for about 20 years, and I just bought this tube a few days ago, and I noticed that they've changed the composition, they've changed the formula. Unfortunately, in my opinion, it's definitely for the worse. What I used to like about this product was that it dried in 5 minutes and you could easily sand out the residue around areas that you were trying to fill. It seems to me that what they've done is they've perhaps reduced the smell, the odor, but the strength of the stuff has gone up by an increment of about 10. It is a much stronger product. It takes overnight to dry. It cannot dry in 5 minutes. You can't be working with this product 5 minutes after application or 10 minutes. And the effort that goes into sanding it is now very significantly higher. You're going to go through a lot more sandpaper. You're going to put a lot more muscle into doing your sanding work. It's going to take a lot longer. And if you have sanding pads, like the nail pads that women use for their nails, specially designed for model building, you're going to go through those very quickly. This product, it might suit a purpose, but it's not a purpose that I actually have. So the utility of the product has gone actually downhill big time, and I now need to find a new product to replace this because it's just way too time consuming, it's way too difficult to use, and it's not a 5-minute product anymore. So I'll just give you a tour of what I'm working on right now. I build aircraft models, and as you can see, I need to do, this is a metal ID model from the 50s, and there's imperfections all over it. So I've had to do a lot of putty work. In the past, that would take me just a few minutes to sand that down. There's pock marks all over this, which you can't see. There's pock marks here, pock marks there. You would just put a dab of the old version of this putty, and you would just sand it off in a few minutes. But now, like this here, these areas here, I've been sanding for 10 minutes, and I've still got ridges here. If you can't see it, there's all kinds of ridges here. I use, I think this is 220. It might be 200, but it just takes a very long time, a lot of effort to get that to come down. So it's really strong, this new putty. It isn't two-part, but it has the strength of a two-part epoxy. And I don't know if you can still see. Yeah, I've still got ridging here, and it just takes forever, an absolute great deal of effort to get the product to smooth down. Here's another area I've been working on for quite some time, sanding and sanding and sanding and sanding and sanding. And it just, yeah, you can't see it, but I've got, there's a ridge there. There's all kind of ridging here, and it just takes forever to break that down. This particular surface here, the cast metal had a number of imperfections, so I just applied the product with my finger here, actually wearing a rubber glove, and had to dry overnight. But I'll just show you. This is like, it dries like iron. It is super strong, so I will just start sanding that fresh so you can see kind of what kind of result I can get here. Let's do this for a bit. Yeah, it just doesn't break down like the old product. Yeah. So anyhow, I wish they had the old version of this putty back. It would have been a lot more useful for its intended design, and I'm going to have to experiment with new forms of or other forms of fast dry white putty, because the SQUADRON product is a completely different beast. And I'm sorry, actually, I'm very sad that they did that change, because I used this, as I say, for decades.
and it's just not what it used to be. And if you have a look at this, it almost comes out in a strange consistency. It's like water, and it's almost like it's not mixed in the tube. So I had to unload half the tube to mix it on a piece of cardboard, because otherwise you just get the consistency is all wrong. You've got to put out a ton of it to actually get it to mix, and incredible wastage here. Well, just to summarize, Squadron has completely ruined their putty line, and it's very unfortunate, but I'm going to summarize the problems with the new version of their product. Number one, it's not mixed inside the tube. I've used both their gray and their white product, and both of them have the same problem. You have to unload a huge amount of the putty onto a board and mix it. And of course it doesn't, you can't use as much of it as you unload onto the board, and there's incredible wastage. Whereas in the past, you could just squeeze a small amount out of the tube, use it, and it would dry beautifully. Number two, the product does not work well with primer. For decades, I've used primer out of a rattle can, and I would typically primer, then I would use some putty, sand, primer, putty, sand, and it would take several processes to beautifully finish a model. The new product, the new formula for the Squadron putty, it does not sit on top of primer. It completely eats right through to it. So what you've got is a big mess. It does dry, but it doesn't. You can't work with primer on top of it. It is useless. Absolutely 100% useless. So it is very, very frustrating that they have wrecked the product. The old product worked great. I used it for a long time, but the new Squadron putty is absolutely, in my books, 100% garbage. I hope they get the message. I hope Squadron sees this video and makes an effort to fix their product, because it was a fabulous product and they absolutely changed it to the 100% worst that they could possibly do. What a shame.